We had a very large egg operation. We had over 2,000 birds. We wanted to explore this alternative market for pork with the charcuterie, so we decided to scale way back. Everybody wants a charcuterie board with local charcuterie. Well, there isn't any local charcuterie. To me, it was an opening of nobody's in this space.
It's very good. I guess I'm thinking of like the pepperoni we get from the store, right?
Oh, yeah.
Off the shelf. That's
Nothing like it.
So in your opinion, what is it that makes local charcuterie so important? Okay, so we are at Red House Ranch, right? And you're Ike.
I'm Ike.
And you're Dave.
Yes.
And you guys have a lot going on here and some really specialty things to really differentiate yourselves from other people who are raising animals. So right now, we're where your laying hens are. We're about to let them out. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about what you're doing here and what's going on.
Well, I'll just step back a little bit. This is year 8 for us. We both grew up here. We both left as soon as we could as kids, and we went all over the place. And then I fell into the foodie trap with Joel Salatin, and you know, everybody on the videos knows who all these people are, right?
Yeah.
And we were going to inherit this land. We didn't know what to do with it. We were going to sell it, and I had the crazy idea to come back and do grass-fed, grass-finished beef, pasture-raised pork, cage-free, pastured chicken, and we started that, you know, over 7 years ago. We don't use any pesticides, herbicides. It's all that pretty much organic type setup, and it was mainly about health, providing healthy, nutritious food, highly nutritious food, which is what drove me to con my brother and my sister, who's not here, into it. And part of all of it is putting a team together, right? Dave does all of the, not all, but a lot of the physical work. I do a lot of the computer work, finance, product development, marketing. My sister does all of our Instagram work, Facebook work.
What prompted your crazy idea? Was it just, like you said, where your food comes from, or did
Well,
something happen?
it was a number of things that overlapped, right? I'm obsessed with health and nutrition, which, don't ask me too many questions about it because we'll talk way too long about it. My mom is still alive. She couldn't stay here by herself. And again, it's a classic thing for farmers, right? How do you keep the land in the family instead of just selling it off or letting it just turn into forest? If we hadn't have come back, it would look like that hillside. It would literally be covered with trees. My dad mowed this land for 20 years. He stopped farming in the 80s, and that's one of the other reasons why we were able to come back. So those three overlapping things, the desire to raise that kind of food, coming back to figure out what we're going to do for the land, and trying to bring this other type of agriculture back to this area. There's a huge number of abandoned farms, and people don't know that there's other ways to do this kind of farming. When I tell people about our polywire fences that we use to manage our cows and pigs, they look at us like we are crazy because they've never seen it before, and they cannot imagine that you can actually control pigs with a tiny wire or a herd of cows with a piece of polywire. So bringing those ideas back here to try and foster that idea that, yeah, there might be something else you can do here and actually make money, and that's the big part of trying to figure that piece out.
It looks like, I mean, we've only been in New York now for a few days, but it looks like old country ground. So you're saying that, like, is it a generation removed from people farming this way? Because New York's actually a really big agricultural state.
It's really big in large-scale dairy, right? There used to be thousands and thousands of small dairies, and with the push to become huge dairy farms, almost all of those farms have disappeared.
Yeah.
And you'll see those old collapsing barns as you're driving around, right? And then once in a while you'll run into a dairy that's got 5,000 or 10,000 cattle in it. There is a lot of abandoned farmland because of that dairy consolidation.
That makes sense. So we made it to, are these layers?
There are layers.
Okay, so we made it to your layers, and it's on an old, what kind of frame is this?
It's on an old trailer bed. It's on wheels, and
like a tractor trailer bed?
A mobile home.
Mobile home.
Mobile home trailer.
Oh, okay.
And we built both of these. We had a very large egg operation. We had over 2,000 birds. But like you and your story, the labor that it took to manage 2,000 birds and to pick and pack and palletize, we were shipping pallets of eggs to Boston.
Oh, wow.
And we wanted to explore this alternative market for pork with the charcuterie, So we decided to scale way back. We sell these in a store in Ithaca, and we have some local sales.
So you started with layers, which I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And then you've branched out.
Yeah.
And
Well,
where did you get the idea for this? Just was it laying around or?
well, these are all permutations on Joel Salatin's
Okay,
stuff, right?
gotcha.
Easier to move. A lot. We've been to APP. We belong to APA, American Pasture Poultry Producers Association, and we see people who make things like this. We have several that were on skids, greenhouses on skids, and they're pretty unwieldy to move around. This is much more flexible for us on having it on wheels.
Do you have to use a tractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Can we open it up?
Yeah, we can let them out.
These birds are Novagens. They're an industrial layer that have been developed to produce about 300 eggs a year.
Wow.
So they're very productive. We rotate them out every 2 years.
And we're standing right here, so they're like, I don't want to go out. So you said that you did have 2,000 birds. How many do you have now?
We have 250.
Wow, you really scaled that.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Is that just to keep up like your local egg customers?
Yes, it is
Okay,
for our,
gotcha.
we have two customers that take nearly all of them all the time.
2 customers, so are those restaurants?
One is a health food store in Ithaca called Green Star, the Green Star Co-op, and the other one is a hotel in Watkins Glen called Idlewild Inn, and they serve our eggs and our sausage for breakfast, and
Wow.
everybody loves those products. So,
That's awesome.
so there are 2 main wholesale customers.
So that's your other one.
That's-
That looks more like a hoop house.
It is a hoop house design that we developed. We wanted something that was bigger. We wanted to be able to have more. So that also is on a trailer bed. The other thing I didn't talk about, we have slotted floors.
Yeah, I saw that.
So the manure drops
Right.
right down. That field over there is where they were last year, and it just
Okay.
provides an incredible boost to the carrying capacity of the land. The grass
Yeah.
grows up like crazy. We'll have more cows in a couple weeks, and they'll start grazing over there.
Can we go see this one?
Of course,
Let's
you can
go see
just
it.
step on that fence or climb over it. So this is a real ecological haven here. We have incredible animal and bird diversity. We've got bobolinks, which need this kind of perennial pasture to land in. They fly all the way up from Argentina.
Wow.
Stop here.
That's awesome.
So-
This one looks a lot different than the other one. Oh, what do you got here?
Age difference.
Oh,
These are right around 30 weeks old. These are coming up on a year and a half
okay.
in
So
age.
these ones are younger.
Yep.
And you can tell by the color of their legs.
Uh-huh.
And as they age, they actually extract these compounds from their skeleton, and they slowly go into the eggs. And after a certain amount of time, the egg volume decreases.
Yeah. So this one is interesting to me because it looks a little bit more industrial. You've got a big feeder. Can I go in here?
Yeah, of course.
You've got a big feeder in here, nipple waters. Tell me a little bit about why these are so different.
This
Yeah,
egg
why
will
are
be-
your 2 houses
Well,
so different?
we wanted to be able to expand and have a lot of chickens, and this is the slotted floor that we intentionally built because as they walk around, they scratch the manure that they drop in here, and it falls straight down
Right.
through the floor. So we don't have to, it's every whatever time, clean it out.
Why though why is this a hoop house design and that's a square build design?
Because we thought it would be cool
Okay.
and easy to build and lightweight, low cost.
And this trailer bed was 60 feet versus that one, which was only 40.
Okay.
And we've got the capacity in here, if we wanted to be 3 times the volume of that house.
Because this one's wider, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wider and longer.
We can have nest boxes all the way down to here, and that's to the bigger feeders. We can come in
Yeah.
once a day in an hour. We've got everybody fed for a week versus that one, which is about every 4 days. I fill feeders just to
Okay.
keep them.
We designed the floor space to have enough space to have 500 birds in here.
In this one.
Yeah.
This one alone.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here, let's walk out of here and I'll talk about the differences then. So which one is your favorite? The hoop house or the square build?
I like the square build, just it's a little bit smaller, easier to manage.
Okay.
But same thing, we hitch up with the tractor. It takes 10 minutes to move both of them.
Yeah.
Stretch out a little bit of water hose so that we can get back.
Interesting. I love that.
Dave mentioned water system. It's something we haven't talked about, but we use a system of plastic pipe and special fittings that it's not buried, and we
Right.
can move our water anywhere we want. We've had these chickens all the way down at the other end of the property. We move our main line down there. Then we hook up the garden hoses. It's the same, that same water system provides water for the cattle and for the hogs. It's pumped out of our well right down there where you were parked. And it's again, as part of that, we don't have permanent fences, we don't have permanent paddocks, and it allows us to constantly be moving wherever we want to drop our fertilizer, where it's easy to access. Getting up here to pick is important. So
you had 2,000 chickens or 2,000 laying hens when you kind of started, and you've backed off because you want to incorporate more of the pigs. Why did you back off chickens, and why did you want to incorporate more pigs?
The labor that it takes to feed, to move, to manage the pastures, it's not really linear. The bigger you get, the more time it takes to do all of that.
Yeah.
Some of the bigger guys who do it at scale use automated facilities, right? We have an automated feeder, automated waterer, and it was a huge capital jump for us to do that. And we decided that we wanted to have a little more time to ourselves. That was the main reason to, and we made margin on it, but not enough to make up for the time that we had to invest in it.
And also, there's roughly 250 acres here, but as you can see, it's not flat.
Right.
So we don't have enough flat ground or level enough ground to keep a house on, because if your nest boxes are off by more than 2 degrees, your eggs roll out and you crack your eggs. So then we've got to shim the boxes every time we move. If we hit a different spot, it shifts the angle of your nest box. These two houses are kind of, what we can accommodate on smaller pastures. Instead of having them 400 feet long, we're a couple hundred here maybe, and we still got room to move them around.
I mean, personally, coming from the Midwest, we get spoiled to flat ground.
Flat, yep.
And it's very flat out there. When you're trying to replicate models like this, it can be difficult to replicate those when your topography is completely different.
Yeah.
So I love that you guys changed your vision a little bit, because all too often I think people get caught up in wanting to do things exactly the way others have done them, and they forget that it's different for every farm.
Yeah, and part of it, we wanted to have more beef. We're in a very unusual situation. The good news is that we're sold out of beef and almost pork. The bad news is we're sold out of beef and almost all of our pork.
Right.
So we've had times when we've had way too much beef and we couldn't sell it, and we wanted to find, so we have a lot of customers now, things are picking up, and we wanted to find another unique space, which is charcuterie, which we'll talk about later. A value-added product that we can easily ship and produce with a unique quality of meat. And that's why we wanted to expand our pork business, because the pigs can go anywhere on this terrain, including in the woods, which is what we use the woods and the hillsides for them. So this is the example of these. When we get these piglets, we have a training pen where we first expose them to this, and then after about 3 weeks, they realize not to go here. We get them as piglets. We don't farrow, because again, it's another enterprise, right? Yeah. Raising and farrowing, and we're two old guys. We didn't want to do that. And there's a lot of people who want to farrow.
Yep. So
we found some really good partners. Just sent 8 of these, and these guys go next Tuesday. So I'm going to throw a bag of feed out here.
Sure.
The reason we're feeding them manually right now is next week they're going to go to processing. So how do you get them in the truck?
Yeah.
We have a hog hauling wagon that's specifically...
Oh, I saw that down there.
So how do you get them in it? We stop using the big feeder and we feed them in a metal trough over there. You can see that. And then we put that trough in the hog wagon, throw a bag of feed, they run in, you close the door.
And that's that.
Yeah.
Knock you over, huh? What kind of feed is that?
It is this feed. And this is a very special story. So you can see on there it says... Does it say it? Corn free.
Yeah.
So the story about that is we want to make charcuterie, and the best charcuterie is made with pork that's fat is extra saturated. And normally it would be corn instead of barley for the carbohydrates. Just like with humans, when you eat a lot of carbs, you get fat. So you've got to have that source in there. But along with the corn comes a lot of omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids, which makes the fat softer. So we switched to corn-free, and there's barley in this, and you can see the difference in our charcuterie. It provides a much better fat.
So you're saying that for charcuterie you need a harder fat?
Harder fat, yeah.
Okay, so it needs, so that icy so that it stays firm.
Yes.
And doesn't
It doesn't
go away.
melt. It's
Yeah.
it's better for human health. At least that's what's starting to appear, that the less omega-6s you eat, because corn oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, all those things provide high amounts of polyunsaturated omega-6 fatty acids, and this lowers that amount. That's one of the
Okay.
things about if you're health obsessed, there's a lot of discussion in the health and nutrition world about reducing the amount of omega-6s in our diet. And it just so happens that historically pigs were not fed corn. They're fed things like egg horns, right? For like Iberico, right?
Right.
So that's what we're trying to achieve in our meat quality, and that's why we use corn-free feed.
So do you just have the one group of pigs?
This was a group of 16, the last 8 that just went, and we have 10 more at another section of the pasture. So this is the most we've ever had at one time. There's 26 total, and we're going to get 10 more that we'll finish in January or February.
How many are you finishing a year then?
Well, this year that will be 36.
Are you processing them just for charcuterie, or are you also doing like whole?
We
and
have
half
a
pigs?
so we ship all over the Northeast. We
Okay.
do all the classic Italian sausages, chorizo, baby back ribs, pork tenderloins. So everything gets vacuum packed, and we store it in our freezer. People order online, and then we ship and pack. Yeah, all
Gotcha.
the classic cuts.
So what was it then that really showed you? I know you talked about the labor side of it, but was there a market demand for charcuterie that you saw that you wanted to capitalize on?
Yes, so this is an up and coming thing in the foodie world. People who want classic, high quality, handmade charcuterie. And we were working with a guy in Newfield named Terry at Stone Bend Farms. He has a very nice venue up there, and he does gourmet pizzas. And he was buying our Italian sausage. And I said, being a marketer, I said, hey, what else would you like? He said, well, I'd like pepperoni. I said, okay, because I've always in the back of my mind fantasized about making charcuterie. So I started looking into it, and we were friends with Lisa and Justin from the Hazelnut restaurant. He makes charcuterie for his restaurant. He helped us develop a very unique recipe for pepperoni. Like anything you can buy. That we did some samples, took it to Terry, he loves it, and so we're ramping up to make that. And as well as once you make some kind of salami like pepperoni, then you can make salami, sapressota, you name it, right? Brezola, so we're making brezola, which is dry cured beef.
Wow.
And that was really the impetus to say, okay, we know we have a market. And in the Finger Lakes, there's a lot of wineries, and they all have little restaurants. Everybody wants a charcuterie board with local charcuterie. Well, there isn't any local charcuterie. So to me, it was an opening of nobody's in this space. Everybody is in this space, not everybody, but you visit all the farms, right? There's a lot of people who do this, but to go to the next level of what's the other value-added component that you can bring to a market that is not served. 25 years ago when Joel Salatin, Greg Judy, and everybody started, this was a unique fringe market. Big corporations just thought, oh, this is nothing. But now it's extraordinarily competitive. Butcher Box, their revenue was something in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So somebody searches for grass-fed finished beef, I might come up, but probably not. Butcher Box will come up. Wild Fork, which is owned by one of the largest meat processing companies in the world. They make it look like it's a farmer website. So it is very, very competitive now. It's not an easy thing to get into and actually be able to develop your own market.
So that's why you took your farm a step further, and you've got this commercial kitchen.
Yes.
So how did you get a hold of this commercial kitchen? Is this your property?
So these are our neighbors, the Smith family maple farm, and they make maple syrup on a very large scale.
Oh, wow.
We had been looking for a kitchen that was close by, and then we heard that these guys wanted to set up a kitchen where they could have events and where they could do value-added products with their maple syrup. And you need to do that in a commercial kitchen. So we got together and said, hey, let's partner. And we've both putting in time and money to get this together. We're about a month away from getting our septic system finalized and getting, that's the first step, county level certification, and then I'll be regulated by New York State Ag and Markets for the products that I make here. So we're getting all those pieces in place. What we're gonna do now, I cut up some pork butt roast, shoulder roast, which is the ideal cut to make charcuterie out of.
Okay.
I've got it all ready to go. We're gonna run it through the grinder.
Sure.
So give me 1 sec, I'll go get it and
Yeah.
we'll get set up.
Yeah. So you're spraying the components. I haven't seen gloves like that are textured.
Oh, there's so many kinds of gloves.
I bet those are nice.
So when you make charcuterie, the fundamental components in it are salt and potassium nitrate and nitrite. And there's a lot of people who think that stuff is bad for you, but it is. We actually make it in our bodies. There's more nitrates in celery, and people don't think about that. So there's salt in here and the cure. It's called cure.
Okay.
And I already put that in, and we're going to grind this up.
How many pounds of meat are here?
We've got 23 pounds. It's
Okay.
about the average, it's about the size of a batch you can handle without more bigger equipment.
Okay.
Because I have to mix it by hand.
That is very heavily marbled.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you can see all that intermuscular fat, right? And that's what makes this so delicious. Conventional pork is a lot leaner.
Yeah,
And this is the effect of that corn-free feed that we were talking
Okay,
about.
that makes sense. So how much, if you don't mind saying it on camera, how much of an investment was it to get not just the commercial kitchen, but the grinder, seasonings, any, I guess you'd have to have inspections, licensing.
So there's curing chambers, there's controlled systems, there's dehumidifiers. I think we've spent about around 10 grand. Some of the equipment was provided by the Smith brothers, but I have more equipment I want to buy. Still a project underway. I think by the time we're all done, it's going to cost us about 15 grand to get
That's not that bad though.
fully set up.
I definitely was thinking it was way more than that.
Well, if you want to get to a bigger scale, it will be, which,
Right.
you know, if it all works, I would ideally like that.
So in your opinion, what is it that makes local charcuterie so important?
Well, it uses our unique product. It's a special recipe that we've got. And it's a local product. So I guess it's that same attraction for anything that's local, right? People are interested in things that don't come from a massive factory.
Yeah.
I mean, pepperoni is made, you know, your basic pizza pepperoni is made by the tractor trailer load in a fully automated factory. And it doesn't taste like this. Taste is a big part of it, right?
When it's
we
not
can get
commercialized.
flavors that you wouldn't get in a commercial setup. So there we go.
Okay.
So that's the grinding step. Now this will go back in the fridge and essentially almost freeze again. And then what we've got is our spice mix. And I'll just tell you the whole process of how charcuterie works. So this is dextrose. It's a sugar. Things like this safe is you add dextrose and then you add lactobacillus bacteria. There's a special starter culture. It's called a starter culture.
Okay.
And it actually ferments this into lactic acid, and it lowers the pH of the meat drastically. So that's the first step in producing a product that's not going to have Listeria, E. coli. There's 2 or 3 others, right? So that's the preserving, curing step. And then for all the flavors, this particular thing has smoked paprika, powdered garlic. This is garlic that my brother raises and we dry ourselves in powder. It's extremely flavorful. There's fennel, red pepper flake, and I forgot the name. Oregano. What kind of chef am I? But yeah, so you mix all that together, stuff it into casings, and then if you come over here,
Sure.
the next step, in order to activate that starter culture, it needs to be in a very warm environment, like 90 degrees, 100 degrees. So we've got this proofing chamber. We hang it in here, and all of this stuff, there's control systems that control the humidity and the temperature, and we monitor it. I monitor on my phone so I can be sure that we're achieving the right temperatures and humidity levels that you need. So once it's done in here, and this is where the pH will drop, which is the critical aspect, right? So when the pH is low enough, then you transfer it to another chamber, and this is our small starter one. Ideally, we'll have a curing chamber that you would literally walk into, but this is what we're starting with. And again, this is temperature and humidity controlled at very different points, about 53 degrees Fahrenheit and 70% humidity. So, I mean, it's an old Coke cooler, but we've modified it and have all these control systems in here. So this is what it will look like.
Oh, wow.
Once we're underway. So this on the right is Andouille. The next is Brezola, which is dried beef eye round, and then we've got some salami, some pepperonis, more bresaola, but that's another salami, and I'm making another batch of pepperoni. That's what you saw me grinding. In a day, that'll be hanging in here, starting its drying cycle, and it takes about 2 months to reach the final product. And when you hang it, it's literally twice the diameter. 30 to 40% of the water is removed from the meat. So that's what gives it all the intense flavors.
I see. So that, it makes me think about like what commercial products are. They really, is it too loose to say that they aren't really this product?
There's many ways to achieve a product, right? There are too many for me to describe. This is a very unique, older way of making a product. Like hot dogs, we can make hot dogs here, but they're hot dogs are made in a factory where they come up by the tractor trailer load, right? And you get a different kind of hot dog. So again, it's that niche market, handmade stuff where you can achieve flavors and textures that you just usually don't get out of a factory scale operation.
We would do real hot dogs, like all beef hot dogs. And those are hands down with a natural casing. So we used intestine. Hands down the best hot dog ever in the world. I mean, oh my gosh.
We just bought some hot dog spice. We're working with our processor to do them. When we get our beef processed. So yeah, that's the basic process. And then we'll go back to the store, and I have some there that we can slice up and try.
Yeah, let's do that.
But first, I had to put this away. So
yeah, you don't want to forget this.
Let me put this back in the... You were asking.
Yeah, so you said that these are, you're still test batching because you're not actually like certified yet. You're not selling it yet.
We're not this is not an official commercial kitchen yet. But we're on our way. But in that time, right, I have to practice. I'm practicing how to make it come out right. I had a batch that didn't work right because I didn't have the meat cold enough. So there's all these factors that you have to really understand and master.
Where are you learning how to do that?
YouTube, books. I've taken a couple of courses. I've met a few people who are doing the same thing, and we exchange notes. Yeah, it's hard to find, like, there isn't a college course on how to make charcuterie.
Right.
The big knowledge center on this is Penn State. They have a meat science lab there, and we're connected with Jonathan Campbell down there, and he is a charcuterie expert. So I run things by him as well, so that I know that we're actually doing things that are going to be compliant, and most importantly, that's going to be safe, right? Everybody worries about, I'm going to get E. coli or whatever, but that's all very manageable if you understand the science behind it and the mechanisms that you can use in a kitchen like this to make something that's not going to make anybody sick. All right, so
we are in your storefront.
This is our store. We have a walk-in store with our display freezer.
Oh yeah. That's nice.
We have a point-of-sale terminal here, and as we were talking about, this is powered by Seven Sons Grace Cart software, which is what drives our website. The customer-facing website is from the Grace Cart platform, and then all the ordering is done on the back end of that platform. We get our pick lists. I don't have one here, but you can print out a packing list, invoices. You can do reporting. All these things that you don't see that are actually part of the farm, and they're just as important as the chickens and pigs and the meat grinder that you saw, right? But one thing that we learned that a lot of people don't think of when they start is, and I heard this at a conference, it's not original thought, it's if you don't have your marketing engine going, you better not turn on your tractor engine, because you'll have a bunch of product and all you got is a farmer's market where you might make a couple $100 in a weekend. So
did you used to do farmers markets?
Yes, we did farmers markets for about 2 years. Be an all-day event, and we'd go there and bring back a couple $100 for 14 hours of work. It was not a very productive enterprise. And then Seven Sons had a shipping program, and they had a course on how to ship. So I'll show you that. So we get our orders, we pick the pack. We print the packing list. We put the products in a box like this, cardboard box. This is a cellulose insulated liner. It's all recyclable, so the customer can take their products out, and this whole thing goes in their recycle bin. We pack with dry ice, and we ship all over the Northeast. So we're going to taste some pepperoni, and it has a natural casing on it, and you usually want to peel it off because it is tough.
Where do you get the casing from?
Walton's, and I got some initially from the sausage maker. Part of what I'm still figuring out, where am I going to get all my products from. The sausage maker is a nice starting point. I won't get any finger in there.
Maybe.
So go ahead, try a hunk of our pepperoni.
It's a lot drier than I thought it was going to be.
And that's part of why these are test batches, figuring out what's the optimum dry point. There are certain points you have to reach.
It's good. It's very good. I guess I'm thinking of like the pepperoni we get from the store, right?
Oh, yeah.
Off the shelf. That's
There's nothing like it.
yeah. That's in a weird package and
I bought every kind of pepperoni on the market
yeah.
and tried it, and this is very unique. Pepperoni is basically salami. This is just pork, salt, and pepper. Classic salami. Seems dry is because I'm cutting it with a knife instead of a meat slicer.
Oh.
It should be very thin, like that.
Okay. That's good.
It's just, yeah, that was one of my first ones. That's just salt and pepper.
This is just salt and pepper. There's something to the basics. This is good.
So that's it from field
Yeah.
to table,
Yeah.
literally. And we love doing that.
That was awesome. I love what you guys are doing here. This is so cool. I think I love too that added to it. This is a family enterprise.
Yeah, very much.
And your brother, your sister are doing it with you. You're keeping the family in, but you're really moving through, you know, the technology age and figuring out how to keep, you know, the land working and make a profit from it. This is unique.
I don't want to leave out the most important family member, and that's my mom.
Yeah.
She packs eggs with us. I have order fulfillment packs that I put in every order, and she assembles all of those for us. She's very involved as well because it's really exciting for her to have something to do.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me out, showing me, sharing some food with me. Like I said, it's like lunchtime, so this is perfect. I love what you guys are doing here, and I can't wait until you're up and running and you can start really shipping this product and sharing it with the world, because I'll tell you, this, this is good. And this is just salami, right? Yeah, man, that was awesome. Even if someone could make it for themselves, this is worth it. It's so good. So yeah, thank you, Ike. I really appreciate you having me out here.
We're thrilled to get free publicity.
Absolutely. We'll share your story with the world.
Thank you.
Thanks. Our first tour in New York, and it just did not disappoint. Not only is the landscape absolutely beautiful out here, but to see a family farm really pushing the envelope and finding out how they can continue to add value to their farm product is amazing. And there aren't many people out there doing their own charcuterie. I don't know of any farmers that are doing their own. I know of some that are using their processor to do some. I think that any way a farm can find a way to keep their story unique will just push them forward. Thank you for coming along with me today. It has been amazing. We're gonna be in New York now. We are headed to Vermont next. We've got a lot of fun farms coming your way. We are so excited to keep this train rolling, and I can't wait to see you.